Call security! He's grabbing that kid!" The scream sliced through the schoolyard, and Michael froze. He was still holding his son's hand, feeling the boy's small fingers tremble inside his own. Michael looked around, confused, not understanding what was happening. The air thickened. The chatter of students faded until only the wind remained, rustling the flags above the gate. A mother pulled her child back. A phone rose into the air. He heard the sharp click of heels striking concrete, each step coming closer. "He's not a parent from this school," someone whispered, loud enough for everyone to hear. Michael glanced down at his hands, dusted with cement. The pickup slip crumpled and damp with sweat. He didn't know whether to let go or hold on tighter. The eyes around him drew in, tight with fear and disdain. The security guard was approaching now, a baton gripped firmly in his hand. What would you have done if you were there that day, watching it all unfold without knowing the truth? Would you step forward or stay silent like everyone else? Share your thoughts. In that moment, who was truly being judged, Michael or all of us? Michael pushed through the glass doors of Riverside High's main entrance, the air conditioning hitting his face like a wall of judgment. The lobby gleamed with polished floors and trophy cases, a stark contrast to the grit still embedded under his fingernails. He approached the front desk with the quiet confidence of a man who'd spent the morning negotiating million-dollar contracts, even if he looked like he'd spent it pouring concrete. "Excuse me," he said, his voice steady and polite. "I'm here to pick up Jake Carter, 9th grade, Miss Peterson's homeroom." The receptionist, a middle-aged white woman named Lisa, looked up from her computer screen. Her eyes traveled from Michael's face down to his boots, lingering on the dirt, the frayed hem of his jeans, the faint smell of cement and sweat that clung to him despite his best efforts to brush himself off in the truck. Her expression shifted, subtle, practiced, the kind of micro-expression that Michael had learned to read over 43 years of living in America. "I'm sorry," Lisa said, her tone cooling by several degrees. "We don't allow unauthorized individuals on campus during school hours. Who are you in relation to the student?" "I'm his father." Michael kept his voice even, professional. He'd been through this dance before, though never quite like this. "Michael Carter, I'm here to pick him up. It's my custody day." Lisa's fingers hovered over her keyboard, not typing, not searching, just hovering. "Do you have identification? Any documentation showing you're authorized to pick up this child?" The word child hung in the air, as if Jake were a stranger's kid, as if 3 years of Wednesday pickups had never happened. Michael reached into his back pocket, pulling out his wallet. His driver's license was there, slightly worn, the lamination peeling at one corner. Same last name as Jake, same address on file with the school. But Lisa barely glanced at it before shaking her head. "I'm going to need to call security," she said, her hand already reaching for the phone. "Mr. Henderson, we have a situation at the front desk." Michael felt the first flicker of frustration, but he pushed it down. "Stay calm. Don't give them a reason." "Ma'am, I understand you're being cautious, but I pick up my son every Wednesday. You can check your records or you can just call him down here. He'll confirm who I am." "School policy," Lisa replied, her voice carrying that bureaucratic finality that brooked no argument. "We can't release a student to anyone we can't verify." Within 60 seconds, Mr. Henderson appeared. A white man in his 50s, ex-military by the look of his posture, security badge gleaming on his chest. He sized Michael up with the kind of assessment that came from years of deciding who belonged and who didn't. His hand rested casually on his radio. "What seems to be the problem?" Henderson's voice was steel wrapped in Southern politeness. "No problem," Michael said, keeping his hands visible, keeping his tone neutral. "I'm just here to pick up my son, Jake Carter. It's my custody day." Henderson's eyes narrowed. "This isn't the first time we've had situations like this." The pause before situations was loaded with meaning. You understand we have to be careful. Lots of people trying to get access to kids these days. I'm not people trying to get access, Michael replied, his jaw tightening. I'm his father. I've been picking him up every Wednesday for 3 years. Then you won't mind waiting while we verify that. Henderson gestured to a row of chairs against the wall, the kind reserved for students waiting to see the principal. Have a seat over there, and please keep your voice down. We don't want to disturb the learning environment. Michael glanced around the lobby. A few white parents were filtering in for early pickup, glancing at him with undisguised curiosity and concern. One woman clutched her purse a little tighter. Another pulled out her phone, angling it as if checking messages, but Michael caught the camera lens pointed in his direction. He recognized the body language, the sideways glances, the whispered conversations starting to ripple through the space. He moved to the chairs, sitting down with deliberate care, pulling out his own phone. His fingers found Sarah's contact, his CFO, his right hand, the person who'd helped him build Carter Construction from a 2-man operation into an empire. He typed quickly. At Jake's school, situation developing, stand by. He didn't elaborate. Not yet. Because somewhere in the back of his mind, beneath the frustration and the familiar sting of being presumed guilty, a different thought was forming. If this was how they treated him, a man in work clothes, a black man without obvious wealth, how many others had they treated the same way? How many fathers had been turned away, humiliated, denied access to their own children because they didn't fit Riverside High's profile of what a parent should look like? Michael looked up at the security camera in the corner, at Henderson standing guard like he was protecting Fort Knox instead of a suburban high school, at Lisa typing away at her computer with the self-righteousness of someone convinced they were doing the right thing, and he made a decision. He would wait. He would let this play out. He would document every moment, every assumption, every protocol that somehow only applied to men who looked like him. Because when this was over, he was going to make damn sure it never happened again. The minutes stretched like hours. Michael sat in that plastic chair watching other parents breeze through, signing names, collecting kids, no questions asked. At 3:47 p.m., Principal Patricia Drummond arrived. 20 years of authority draped across her shoulders like a cape, pearl necklace glinting under fluorescent lights. Mr. Carter? She didn't wait for confirmation. I understand there's confusion about authorization. I don't recall seeing you at parent-teacher conferences this year. Michael stood, keeping his voice professional. I work long hours. My ex-wife Jennifer handles conferences, but I have Jake every Wednesday. 3 years, same schedule. Do you have custody documentation with you? It's at home. I didn't expect to need legal paperwork to pick up my own son. Drummond's expression sharpened. You understand our position. Child safety is our priority. We've had incidents in the district, unauthorized individuals attempting access. We can't hand over a student to someone we can't verify, regardless of what they claim. The word claim landed like a slap. I'm not claiming anything, I'm stating fact. Check your records. I'm listed as his father, joint custody, contact information in your system. Records can be outdated. Custody situations change. Drummond typed on her phone. I'll contact Jennifer Carter to verify your authorization. If she confirms, we proceed. If not... The threat hung unfinished. Michael's phone buzzed. Sarah. Everything okay? He replied. Wait. Because he needed to see how far this would go. Why not call Jake down? Michael suggested. He's 14. He can identify his own father. Drummond shook her head. We don't involve students in verification processes. It can be traumatic for a child to be confronted with an adult claiming parental status when there's uncertainty. We're protecting your son. Protecting him from me. Protecting him from any potential threat until we verify identities. Nothing personal, Mr. Carter. Simply protocol. But it felt personal. Watching families walk freely while he sat questioned, suspected. Through the hallway windows, students passed between classes. Somewhere in that building, Jake was waiting, checking his phone, wondering where his father was. How long will verification take? However long needed to reach Miss Carter. Drummond's phone buzzed. She frowned, typed quickly. In the meantime, I'm asking you to wait outside. School policy prohibits unauthorized individuals during active hours. I thought I was waiting in the lobby. That was before we understood the situation's scope. Her voice hardened. We're involving law enforcement for verification. Standard procedure. The room seemed to tilt. You're calling the police. For everyone's safety, yes. Drummond's hand moved to her radio. Michael stood slowly, hands visible, movements deliberate. This was the moment everything would either calm or explode. He could demand supervisors, but Drummond was the supervisor. Call lawyers, confirming their suspicions. Walk away, abandoning Jake. He pulled out his phone, calling Sarah directly, speaking clearly so everyone could hear. Sarah, start documenting. Riverside High, refusing pickup, calling police for verification. Log every communication, check every policy against standard practice, legal team on standby, don't intervene yet, be ready. He hung up, meeting Drummond's gaze. I'll wait outside, but I want it on record. I'm being treated differently than every other parent who walked through those doors today. When this is over, I want answers why. Something flickered in Drummond's eyes. Uncertainty, doubt. But the machinery was already in motion. Henderson moved closer, radio crackling. Outside, sirens would soon follow. The police arrived in 8 minutes, 2 squad cars, lights flashing, pulling up to where Michael now stood outside. Officer Reynolds emerged, white, mid-40s, hand near his belt. Sir, keep your hands visible. Michael raised his palms, the ritual of proving harmlessness. Officer, I'm here to pick up my son. There's been a misunderstanding. What's your name? Michael Carter. My son is Jake Carter, 9th grade. This is my custody day. Reynolds approached carefully, scanning Michael's work clothes, the construction dust. Identification? Michael moved slowly, extracting his driver's license like evidence. Reynolds examined it, radioed the name through the system. Behind them, a crowd formed. Parents, teenagers, phones recording. Black man, police, school. The story wrote itself. Mr. Carter, the school cannot verify your authorization. Do you have custody documentation? At home. I've picked up Jake every Wednesday for 3 years. That's not what I asked. Reynolds's tone hardened. Right now you're attempting to access a minor without verification. Put your hands on the vehicle. Time slowed. Michael looked at the phones, at Jake's school, the building he was funding, and something broke inside. Not composure, not dignity, but faith that doing everything right would protect him. He placed his hands on the cruiser's hood. Reynolds patted him down, sides, waist, legs, professional, impersonal, humiliating, searching a man whose only crime was showing up for his son while black. Someone gasped. The video was getting good. He's clean, Reynolds announced. But we need to sort this out. Any history of drug use? Prior arrests? No. Michael's jaw ached from clenching. I've never been arrested. I'm a businessman picking up my son. What kind of business? Construction. Not a lie. Just incomplete truth. Reynolds nodded like that explained everything. I understand your frustration. But we've got a man the school can't verify, no documentation, wanting access to a child. You see how that looks? I see exactly how it looks, officer. The words came raw and honest. I see I'm being treated like a criminal because I'm wearing work clothes and I'm black. Reynolds stiffened. We're following protocol. This has nothing to do with race. Would you treat him the same? Michael gestured toward a white father in a business suit exiting with his daughter, no questions asked. Would you really? Patricia Drummond emerged, phone in hand. Officers, I cannot reach the mother for verification. Mr. Carter should leave and schedule proper pickup through official channels. Michael's hands trembled, the first visible crack. "You're not letting me see my son. We're protecting your son until we verify." "I am his father." The words exploded, and Reynolds's hand moved toward his belt. Michael forced himself down, forced steadiness. "Jake is 14. He plays basketball, wants to be an architect. He texts me every night. Right now he's wondering why I didn't show up, thinking I abandoned him, and you won't let me tell him I'm here." His voice cracked. That tiny break, the vulnerability he'd fought against. Because emotion meant proving them right, unstable, unpredictable, dangerous. Drummond's expression softened slightly. "Mr. Carter, these protocols exist for a reason. We cannot compromise student safety on unverified claims. Do these protocols apply to everyone?" Michael's voice went quiet, deadly calm. "Or just people who look like me? I've watched parents walk freely all afternoon." He pulled out his phone, hands still shaking. Let them see what their protocols did. He dialed Sarah on speaker. "Sarah, document everything. Time, 4:15 p.m., Riverside High. I've been detained, searched without cause, denied access to Jake. Drummond failed standard procedures. Reynolds conducted pat-down on suspicion alone. Get legal ready. Don't come yet. I want this on record, but be ready." He ended the call, meeting Drummond's eyes. "I'll leave, because I don't want Jake seeing his father arrested. But every moment, every decision, every protocol you hid behind, it's documented. These procedures aren't protecting children. They're protecting prejudice. You'll answer for that." Doubt flickered across Drummond's face, but the crowd watched. Police stood ready. Backing down meant admitting error. "Mr. Carter, if you don't leave voluntarily..." "I'm leaving." Michael walked to his truck, every step measured. Don't run. Don't show fear. Don't give excuses to escalate. Behind him, whispers, phone clicks. "Posted to parent group, 300 shares already." Michael sat in his truck, gripping the steering wheel, breathing through rage and heartbreak. He texted Jake, "Dad's here, buddy. Mix up with the office. I'm not leaving you. Promise, hold tight." 3 dots. Then, "Dad, I'm scared. Why are the police here?" Michael's chest constricted, his son watching, not understanding. He typed, "Everything's okay. I love you. Stay calm. This will be over soon, and I'll make sure it never happens to anyone else." He called Sarah back. "Now, but I want more than lawyers. I want the board chair, policy documentation, and records of everyone else treated this way, because I'm not the first." "Michael, I can be there in 15 minutes. "Not yet. Let them commit fully. Let them show who they are. We're not just fixing my situation, we're fixing the system." He watched Drummond in his mirror. They need to see what they've built and face what happens when those protocols meet someone with power to demand better. He ended the call and waited. The video was spreading. Single black dad accused of kidnapping. But they didn't know the rest yet. Didn't know that in hours, every phone would light up with truth. The man they'd humiliated was about to become this city's biggest story. Michael Carter settled in, patient, determined, done being invisible. At 4:32 p.m., Jake Carter sat in the vice principal's office, still not told why his father hadn't picked him up, why police cars were outside. "Jake, we're trying to reach your mom," the vice principal repeated. "Everything will be sorted soon." But Jake had seen his father through the window, seen the police, seen his dad searched like a criminal. His phone buzzed, his father's text, and relief flooded until he read the words, "Mix-up, police, stay calm." In his classroom earlier, whispers had started. Tyler Martinez told everyone at the lockers, "Cops came for Carter's dad. They were searching him and everything." By the time Jake got pulled from class, half the 9th grade knew. Now his phone lit up with messages. "Dude, is your dad okay?" "What happened?" "My mom said there was a kidnapping attempt." Jake's hands shook typing back. "He's my dad. It's a mistake." But even sending it, he felt the familiar weight. Having to explain, defend, prove his black father in work clothes wasn't the threat everyone assumed. Outside, Michael watched the school like a hawk. His phone buzzed constantly. Sarah sending updates. Legal team assembled. Dr. Kwan trying to reach Drummond. Your video is spreading fast. Another text from his site foreman. Boss, seeing crazy stuff online about Riverside. Michael didn't respond. He was watching something else, social services pulling into the parking lot. A woman in her 50s, carrying a tablet and that particular briefcase that meant official investigation. They'd escalated to child welfare. The video hit critical mass at 4:47 p.m., posted to Riverside Parents' Facebook group with caption, Suspicious man confronted at school. Thank God for our security. It had 300 shares in 20 minutes. Then someone recognized the construction company logo. Then someone connected dots. Wait, isn't Carter Construction funding the new STEM wing? Holy shit, is that the Carter? Like CEO Carter? No way. That guy was in work boots. The comments became a battlefield. Some defending school caution. Others demanding answers for why a known parent was treated like a predator. News vans were already en route. Suburban school, black man, police, all ingredients for evening news. Inside, Ms. Maria Rodriguez, the history teacher who'd tried speaking up earlier, made a decision. She started documenting photos of Jake alone in the office, looking terrified. Screenshots of parent group comments, a voice memo. 4:48 p.m. Jake Carter separated from his father over an hour despite staff confirming parent-child relationship. Father searched based on, I don't know what basis, this is wrong. She sent it to her union rep, then, in a moment of courage, to a reporter friend. You need to see this. Outside, the crowd grew. Not just parents, neighbors, busybodies drawn by police lights. Chad Morrison, a parent Michael would later learn called 911 twice about suspicious individuals, pushed forward. White, mid-40s, country club polo. Officer Reynolds, you should know, we've had problems. Break-ins, car thefts. There's been an element moving in, if you know what I mean. His eyes cut toward Michael's truck. Michael heard it through his open window. Casual racism wrapped in property value concerns. Heard Reynolds' non-committal grunt that didn't challenge the implication. Something shifted inside him. From frustration to cold, calculated fury. These people, these protocols, this system protecting feelings over dignity. He started his own recording, filming the crowd, the school, the police. If they wanted documentation, he'd give them documentation. Every face, every comment, every moment preserved. Sarah called. Dr. Kwan is on her way, trying to override Drummond. But there's resistance. They're saying protocol must be followed, that making exceptions would set dangerous precedent. They're also saying your visibility might make this politically complicated. My visibility. Michael's laugh was bitter. You mean my blackness. I mean your profile. If we reveal who you are now, they'll claim you're using wealth to circumvent safety measures. The optics are, I'm a black man in work clothes denied access to my son. Everything else is justification for something that should never have happened. Michael ended the call and climbed out of his truck. Not approaching, just standing visible, arms crossed, waiting. Let them see him. Let them reckon with what they'd done. At 5:03 p.m., Barbara Thompson from Child Protective Services entered. 22 years experience with custody disputes, parental alienation, legitimate safety concerns. But she was human, and humans carried biases. Drummond met her at the door, building her case. Man claiming parental rights cannot verify authorization. Mother unreachable. He became agitated, raised his voice, required police intervention. We're concerned about potential domestic issues, possible court order violations. Each word carefully chosen, technically accurate but stripped of context, shaded toward suspicion. Thompson nodded, made notes. Has the student confirmed or denied knowing this individual? We haven't asked directly. We don't want to traumatize the child. Maybe his father, Ms. Rodriguez interrupted, appearing with Jake. Who definitely is his father. Jake, tell Ms. Thompson who the man outside is. Jake looked at the adults. Drummond's warning glare, Rodriguez's encouraging nod, Thompson's neutral assessment, and something broke. Not into tears, though those came. Into anger. That's my dad, Michael Carter. He picks me up every Wednesday. 3 years. You know this. You have his number. You've seen him before. And you made him get searched like he's some criminal. Everyone was recording. And now everyone thinks my dad is dangerous. And he's not. He's just my dad. The words tumbled out raw. Desperate. 14-year-old fury at a world that kept telling him his father was suspect, his family broken, his normal not normal enough. Thompson's expression shifted. Principal Drummond, the student has positively identified. The student is emotionally compromised. Children in these situations often defend the threatening parent. Stop it! Jake's voice cracked. My dad isn't threatening anyone. You're the one scaring me. You won't let me see him, won't tell me what's happening, acting like he did something wrong when he just came to pick me up like always. Silence. Thompson looked at Jake, really looked, and saw not a child protecting an abuser, but a son defending a father who didn't deserve this. She turned to Drummond. I need to speak with the father directly. And I need all documentation on custody arrangements, previous pickups, and exactly what triggered this response. Drummond's jaw tightened. Miss Thompson, we have procedures. Principal Drummond. Thompson's voice went hard. I'm a mandated reporter investigating child welfare concerns. Right now, my concern is shifting from the parent outside to the institution, keeping a child from a verified parent. Show me documentation. Now. Outside, Michael's phone rang. Dr. Helen Kwan, board chair. Mr. Carter, I am so deeply sorry. I'm en route now. This should never... Dr. Kwan. Michael kept his voice level. How many other parents has this happened to? How many other black fathers, working-class parents treated like criminals at your schools? A pause. I don't have those statistics. Because you don't track it. As long as it's quietly resolved, as long as parents back down, it doesn't become a problem. Doesn't become data. Just another man humiliated, another kid learning his father's dignity is negotiable. We take discrimination seriously, then take this seriously. Not because I'm about to become your PR nightmare. Not because I have lawyers and money, but because it's happening. Right now. And you're only calling because someone figured out who I am. Longer pause. You're right. We will address this. But first, let me get you to your son. I don't want special treatment because I'm CEO. I want the same treatment you'd give any father in work clothes. That's the problem, Dr. Kwan. That's always been the problem. He ended the call as the first news van pulled in. Channel 7. Reporter already scanning, camera following. Then Channel 4. Then a freelance journalist Michael recognized from investigative pieces. The story was officially out of control. Thompson emerged with Jake, with Rodriguez, with Drummond trailing behind, looking aged 10 years. They walked across the parking lot, the boy breaking into a run, Michael catching him in an embrace that squeezed all fear and relief and love into one moment. Dad, I'm so sorry. You have nothing to be sorry for, Jake. Nothing. Thompson approached. Mr. Carter, I'm Barbara Thompson, CPS. I've reviewed the files. Everything checks out. You're authorized. Clearly his father. I don't understand why this escalated, but I'm documenting irregularities. You're free to take your son home. Michael looked past her to Drummond, to Reynolds, to Chad Morrison filming the reunion. Real cameras now, professional journalists who would ask hard questions. Thank you, Ms. Thompson. But before I take my son home, everyone needs to understand something. Michael's voice carried across the parking lot. People stopped, turned, listened. My name is Michael Carter. I'm Jake's father. I have custody rights documented by county courts. I've picked up my son for 3 years without incident. Today I was detained, searched, denied access. Not because of policy violation, not because of legitimate safety concern, but because I showed up in work clothes, because I'm black, and because this institution decided I looked like a threat instead of a parent. He pulled Jake closer. I'm also CEO of Carter Construction Group. We're contracted to donate $280 million to district schools. Riverside High is scheduled for $43 million in facility upgrades. I signed that contract because I believe in public education. I believe every child deserves excellent facilities. The crowd stirred. Whispers, gasps, phones lowering. But I believe more that every child deserves to see their parent treated with dignity. Every father, regardless of appearance, clothing, background, deserves basic respect unless there's actual evidence otherwise. Not assumptions, not stereotypes. Actual evidence. He looked at Drummond. You made me prove I wasn't a threat. Made my son watch his father searched like a criminal. Based on your policies, your protocols, your assessment, now you'll answer for it. Not to me specifically. To every parent wondering if they're next. To every child who shouldn't defend their family against institutional prejudice. Michael turned to Jake. Come on, son. Let's go home. They walked to the truck together, Michael's arm around Jake's shoulders. Behind them, chaos erupted, reporters surging toward Drummond, Reynolds retreating, parents arguing about what they'd witnessed, assumed, gotten wrong. But Michael didn't look back. He'd said what needed saying. Now came the harder part, making sure this moment turned into lasting change, not just viral outrage. As they pulled out, Jake spoke. Dad, are you really going to stop giving them the money? Michael glanced at his son. No, I'm not punishing students for what adults did wrong. But that $43 million comes with conditions. Oversight, mandatory training, policy reforms, accountability. That money will build more than a STEM wing. It'll build a better system. Jake nodded, then quietly, everyone's going to be talking about this tomorrow. Probably. Some will say mean things. About you. About us. Michael pulled over, faced his son fully. Jake, people will say a lot. Some will call me angry or difficult. Some will say I'm using money for revenge. Some will defend what happened because admitting wrong means admitting they've been wrong about a lot for a long time. So how do I deal with that? Hold your head up. Know the truth. You saw what happened. You know your father did nothing wrong except exist while black in a space that wasn't ready. Remember that changing systems is messy and hard, and people fight it. But it's worth fighting anyway. Jake was quiet then. I'm proud of you, Dad. Michael's throat tightened. I'm proud of you too, son. You stood up for me. That took courage. You taught me that. Standing up even when scared. They sat there processing a day that stripped dignity and demanded it be reclaimed. Then Michael drove home, both knowing tomorrow would bring reporters, lawyers, meetings, testimony. But tonight, pizza, basketball, existing as what they'd always been, a family, simple, normal, deserving respect without proving it. Behind them, Riverside High's lights blazed against darkening sky. Inside, administrators huddled in crisis meetings, drafting statements, calling lawyers, trying to understand how routine verification exploded into the district's worst PR disaster in decades. They still didn't understand, but they would. By morning, the whole city would. The call came at 5:47 p.m. Patricia Drummond's phone erupted with Dr. Helen Kwan's ringtone. She answered, stomach dropping. Patricia, what are you doing to Michael Carter? We're following verification protocol. He is the parent. He's also CEO of Carter Construction Group, contracted for $280 million to our district. You had our largest donor searched by police. The words hit like blows. Around Drummond, everyone froze. The crowd's energy shifted from righteous concern to horrified realization. That's not possible. He was wearing work clothes. He shouldn't have to identify as anything except Jake's father, which your records confirm. 3 years of Wednesday pickups. What part of protocol involves humiliating verified parents because they don't match expectations? Drummond looked at Michael in his truck. The construction logo blazed with new significance. Dust transformed from suspicious poverty to proof of labor, making him invisible to people who only recognized wealth in suits. If I had known... That's the problem. You signed the donation agreement 3 months ago, stood next to him at groundbreaking, but today he looked like a working man, so you didn't recognize him. Heavy pause. It's done. Filmed. Viral. By tonight, every outlet runs how Riverside treated its donor like a kidnapper because he was black and blue-collar. I'm en route. Apologize to that man and his son. Then Sarah arrived. 3 black SUVs pulled in with precision. A woman in charcoal suit emerged. Asian American, early 40s, wielding boardroom authority. Behind her, 2 lawyers with briefcases. A third person began documenting. Principal Drummond, I'm Sarah, CFO of Carter Construction. I'm here to address our CEO's unlawful detention. Drummond approached on unstable legs. There's been a misunderstanding. If you'd known he was wealthy, powerful, those circumstances would have earned respect. Sarah pulled out a tablet. Michael Carter, emergency contact for Jake. Joint custody documented 3 years. 47 Wednesday pickups. 47 times approved without incident. Until today. The only variable? He came from a work site, wore work clothes. Suddenly, protocols determined threat. I wonder what variables your protocols are sensitive to. Drummond had no defense. They'd profiled Michael Carter, seen a black man in work clothes and assumed danger. Michael emerged with Jake. Father and son walked forward, crowd parting. Barbara Thompson from CPS approached. Mr. Carter is verified completely. No basis for this intervention. I'm filing a report on discriminatory practices. Drummond felt 20 years crumbling. She'd believed herself progressive, but faced with a black father not performing his class status recognizably, she'd defaulted to fear. Michael reached her, eyes holding profound disappointment. Do you recognize me now? She nodded, throat tight. Mr. Carter, I'm so sorry. You should have treated me like a parent. Checked systems before calling security. Asked Jake before calling police. But you didn't. My son watched his father searched because you couldn't imagine the man funding your STEM wing might wear work boots. I don't know what to say. Then say nothing. Sarah stepped forward. Anything said will be documented. Facilitate their departure. Cooperate with investigation. Dr. Kwan arrived, surveying the scene. Mr. Carter, I'm profoundly sorry. This isn't who we are. Isn't it? Michael's question genuine. Your protocols allowed this. Your systems enabled humiliation for looking like he couldn't belong. Maybe this is exactly who you are. Maybe the question is whether you're willing to change. The parking lot silenced. The inflection point where real change began or empty promises got forgotten. Dr. Kwan met his eyes. You're right. We will change. Not because you're our donor, though that motivates action, but because this is unconscionable. She turned to Drummond. Patricia, suspended pending investigation. Henderson Ramirez, administrative leave immediately. Michael shook his head. That won't fix the system enabling this, won't address hundreds of other parents, without lawyers, money, my ability to make this public, who experience the same with no recourse. He pulled Jake closer. I'm taking my son home. Tomorrow we'll talk real accountability, systematic change, but tonight, I just want to be a father without proving I deserve that right. They walked to the truck. No one stopped them. The crowd watched silently as they drove away. Fallout began. Reporters surged. Henderson slumped. Career over. Lisa cried, realizing she'd destroyed dignity without questioning assumptions. Phones lit up. CEO Michael Carter, detained at son's school. Riverside High in crisis after racial profiling. By 6:30 p.m., 2 million views. By 7 p.m., trending nationally. By 8 p.m., civil rights organizations demanding reforms. Parents asking, would you have done the same? The answer, for too many, was uncomfortably clear. The fallout came swiftly. By Thursday morning, 18 hours after Michael left Riverside, the district convened emergency board meeting. 7 million views. Civil rights organizations demanding accountability. Media camped outside. Patricia Drummond resigned at 11 p.m. Wednesday. 20 years ending in 2 paragraphs acknowledging errors in judgment. The board accepted immediately, eager for distance. Henderson received termination Thursday, immediate dismissal for protocol violation. Lisa from the front desk also terminated, failure to exercise judgment. She'd tried calling Michael, left voicemails unanswered. Apologies didn't undo trauma. Officer Reynolds faced internal affairs investigation. Pat-down without cause, detention without basis. Each action dissected. By Friday, suspended 60 days without pay, mandated bias training. His union protested, but optics were indefensible. Chad Morrison, commenting about elements moving in, found his life upended when identified in footage. His company placed him on indefinite leave. His Facebook went dark after thousands of angry messages. Real reckoning came at institutional level. Dr. Helen Kwan stood before cameras. Friday. Riverside's treatment was not isolated. It was systematic bias, effective immediately, comprehensive reforms. She outlined them: mandatory anti-bias training, quarterly audits, community oversight board, anonymous reporting system, financial penalties for non-compliance. Most significant was financial. Mr. Carter's $280 million proceeds as planned. However, release contingent on meeting strict accountability measures. $5 million redirected to Equity Office investigating complaints and recommending changes. Money came with conditions. Resources required proof of change. For Riverside, consequences were severe. State civil rights investigation, accreditation under review, enrollment dropped 30% in 1 week. The school priding itself on excellence was now cautionary tale. STEM wing frozen pending audits, summer programs canceled, 3 teachers resigned. Michael watched from downtown. Sarah brought updates. He felt no satisfaction. They think this is about punishment, he told Sarah Friday, but it's about changing assumptions that made this possible. Trainings will help. You can't train away lifelong beliefs, but you can make them costly. Create systems where bias has consequences, where parents like me don't need to be CEOs to get respect. He turned from window. That's what money buys, accountability. Settlements came next. Though Michael hadn't sued, threat was implicit. Settlement, formal apology, codified policy changes, Equity Office with 5-year funding, annual demographic reporting. Michael accepted with one condition. Jake would finish the year, return for 10th grade. He wouldn't teach his son that injustice warranted retreat. They would stay, be visible, hold them accountable. 3 weeks later, Michael returned for STEM wing meeting. Same doors, new front desk staff greeting him with nervous politeness. Interim principal Dr. Grace Williams, a black woman, met him. Thank you for not abandoning us. I'm not here for you. I'm here for students who deserve better. The parents who will face these protocols next week, next year. Walking away would have been easier, and easy has never fixed anything. Williams nodded, understanding from someone who'd faced her own version. Then let's make this mean something. 3 hours reviewing construction, policy revisions, training schedules, oversight. Michael demanded detail, staff completing training, new protocols, complaint tracking. By the end, commitments in writing, numbers, timelines, accountability outlasting any administrator. Jake waited in the truck. How'd it go? Good. Real changes, not just words, actual policy. Michael started the engine. Still going to be hard? Let them talk, Jake echoed. We're not going anywhere. Michael smiled at his son, forced to grow up too fast, understand too young that the world judged his father by appearance. No, we're staying, making sure what happened to us doesn't happen to the next family. As they drove, construction equipment staged for groundbreaking. The building would rise, funded by the man they'd profiled. Every student walking through would do so in space created because someone refused to let injustice be the end. The sign going up, Carter STEM Innovation Center, built on accountability, dedicated to equity. It wasn't enough. It would never be enough, but it was a start. 1 month later, Michael Carter addressed the National Conference on Educational Equity. 2,000 educators filled the Chicago Hall, millions watching live stream. I'm not here because I'm special. I'm here because I'm lucky. I had resources to make my story impossible to ignore. But for every viral story, there are thousands with no recourse, no platform, no power to demand accountability. He paused. What happened at Riverside wasn't an aberration. It was a feature of systems protecting some families while scrutinizing others, protocols equating wealth and whiteness with trustworthiness, cultures training staff to see threat in black bodies and working-class presentation. The room went silent. My son Jake is 14. He shouldn't have watched his father searched by police. He shouldn't have defended his family against assumptions made by adults who never checked records. He shouldn't have learned his father's dignity depends on whether people recognize his wealth. But he did. That's the real cost, not just the moment's humiliation, but the persistent wound. The knowledge that someone will always see your blackness before your humanity. He looked at educators claiming to believe in equity. Some faces showed shame, others defensiveness, others genuine engagement. So, what do? Acknowledge good intentions aren't enough. Principal Drummond didn't plan to profile anyone. Systems told her she was right. That's what makes institutional bias insidious. It doesn't require malice, just unchecked assumptions encoding prejudice as procedure. Michael pulled out a photo, Jake at 5, grinning. This is who we're really talking about, not demographics. Real children deserving parents treated with respect, environments valuing all families equally. Change is possible. Riverside is implementing real reforms, structural changes to verification, accountability. It's messy, uncomfortable. People resist, but it's happening because we demanded more than apologies. His gaze swept the hall. Every person here has power to do the same. Audit your protocols, ask who gets questioned, ask whose presence triggers concern, ask what assumptions staff make based on clothing, language, skin color, then change those systems even when uncomfortable. This isn't about punishing mistakes. It's about building institutions worthy of children we serve, recognizing every parent, regardless of appearance, deserves basic dignity unless there's actual evidence otherwise. I'm a CEO. I've donated millions. None of that should have been necessary for respect. The man in work boots, the woman in housekeeping uniform, the parent not speaking fluent English, they deserve the same respect. Not because of what they offer, but because of fundamental humanity. Don't let this be another fading outrage. Don't cite it while changing nothing. Let it force you to examine your own systems, assumptions, role in perpetuating or dismantling bias. The next father in work clothes shouldn't need to be a millionaire for respect. The next mother not fitting expectations shouldn't need lawyers. The next family not matching your profile shouldn't experience what we did. Dignity isn't a privilege, it's a right. Every child deserves to see parents treated with dignity. That's not radical. That's equity's bare minimum. His closing was simple. We can do better. We must do better. If not now, after everything, then when? If not us, then who? He stepped back. Applause sustained, but Michael wanted action. Conversations happening after, policies rewritten, children benefiting from institutions living their values. A young black teacher approached, tears in her eyes. My father went through this 20 years ago. No one cared. Thank you. Michael squeezed her hand. Make them do more than care. Make them change. The camera rolled in Michael's office, Jake beside him. If you're watching this, Michael began, you've got your own story. Maybe you've been questioned at your child's school. Maybe this opened your eyes. Since our story went public, 15,000 parents shared similar experiences. That's not isolated. That's a system. So what are you going to do? He challenged. Not what they will do. What are you doing tomorrow? If you see a parent treated unfairly, speak up, Jake said. Don't just record. Say something. If you're an educator, audit your protocols, Michael added. Pull data, find bias, change it. If you have policy power, demand measurable outcomes, not checkbox training. If you're watching, recognizing injustice, use your voice, Michael continued. When you see black, brown, working-class parents questioned differently, intervene. Be like Ms. Rodriguez, Jake said. She acted. We need people who do, not watch quietly. Here's what you do now, Michael said. Share this with commitment. If in education, schedule equity audit. Support organizations materially. Talk to your kids. Check back in 3 months. Ask what changed. My dad could have moved me to private school, Jake said. Easier. But he did the right thing. Now other kids benefit. That's the test, Michael said. Not how you respond when hurt, but what you do so others don't get hurt. He smiled. You don't need CEO money. Just be willing to speak up when uncomfortable. Don't just watch, Jake grinned. Do something. Small actions create movements. Tone lighter. And to institutions still operating like Riverside, parents are watching. Days of quietly resolving behind closed doors are over. Yeah, we've got really good lawyers now, Jake added. Michael laughed. Share this. Tag school boards, demand audits, use your voice. If you're a kid, know you have power, Jake said. Your voice matters. Trust your instincts. You don't accept injustice. Change happens because people demand it, Michael said. We're demanding it. Will you join us? Screen faded. CarterEquityProject.org. Share your story, take action. Final message. Don't judge a parent by their work clothes. Judge them by how they love their children. Justice begins with respect. Dignity is not negotiable. Be the change. Stand up.